Luke 22, 1 through 23. The Jewish leader... Do you want me to do the easy read version or the... Don't matter. The Jewish leaders planned to kill Joshua. It was almost time for the Jewish festival of unleavened bread called the Passover. The leading priests and teachers of the law wanted to kill Joshua, but they were trying to find a quiet way to do it because they were afraid of what the people would do. One of Joshua's 12 apostles was named Judas Iscariot. Satan entered him, and he went and talked with the leading priests and some of the soldiers who guarded the temple. He talked to them about a way to hand Joshua over to them. The priests were very happy about this. They promised to give Judas money for doing this. He agreed. Then he waited for the best time to hand him over to them. He wanted to do it when no one was around to see it. The day of unleavened bread came. This was the day when the Jews always killed the lamb for the Passover. Joshua said to Peter and John, "Go and prepare the Passover meal for us to eat." They said to him, "Where do you want us to prepare the meal?" He said to them, "When you go into the city, you will see a man carrying a jar of water. Follow him. He will go into a house. Tell the owner of the house, 'The teacher asks that you please show us the room where he and his followers can eat the Passover meal.' Then the owner will show you a large room upstairs that is ready for us. Prepare the meal there." So Peter and John left. Everything happened the way Joshua said, so they prepared the Passover meal. The time came for them to eat the Passover meal. Joshua and the apostles were together at the table. Joshua said to them, "I wanted very much to eat this Passover meal with you before I die. I will never eat another Passover meal until it is given its full meaning in God's kingdom." Then Joshua took a cup of wine. He gave thanks for it and said, "Take this cup and give it to everyone here. I will never drink wine again until Yah's kingdom comes." Then he took some bread and thanked Yah for it. He broke off some pieces, gave them to the apostles, and said, "This bread is my body that I am giving for you. Eat this to remember me." In the same way, after supper, Joshua took the cup of wine and said, "This wine represents the new agreement from God to his people. It will begin when my blood is poured out for you." Joshua said, "But here on this table is the hand of the one who will hand me over to my enemies. The Son of Man will do what Yah has planned. But it will be very sad for the one who hands over the Son of Man to be killed." Then the apostles asked each other, which one of us would do that? Later the apostles began to argue about which one of them was most important. But Joshua said to them, "The kings of the world rule over their people, and those who have authority over others want to be called the great providers for the people. But you must not be like that. The one with the most authority among you should act as if he is the least important. The one who leads should be like the one who serves. Who is more important, the one serving or the one sitting at the table being served? Everyone thinks it's the one being served, right? But I have been with you as the one who serves. You men have stayed with me through many struggles, so I give you authority to rule with me in the kingdom the Father has given me. You will eat and drink at my table in that kingdom. You will sit on thrones and judge the 12 tribes of Israel." Satan has asked to test you men like a farmer tests his wheat. "Oh, Simon, Simon, I have prayed that you will not lose your faith. Help your brothers be stronger when you come back to me." But Peter said to Joshua, Lord, I am ready to go to jail with you. I will even die with you. But Joshua said, Peter, before the rooster crows tomorrow morning, you will say you don't know me. You will say this 3 times. Then Joshua said to the apostles, Remember what I said. Remember when I sent you out without money, a bag, or sandals? Did you need anything? The apostles said no. Joshua said to them, But now, if you have money or a bag, carry that with you. If you don't have a sword, sell your coat and buy one. The scripture says he was considered a criminal. Isaiah 53:12. The scripture must happen. It was written about me, and it is happening now. The follower said, Look, Lord, here are 2 swords. Joshua said to them, That's enough. Joshua prays alone. Joshua left the city and went to the Mount of Olives. His followers went with him. He went there often. He said to his followers, Pray for strength against temptation. Then Joshua went about 50 steps away from them. He knelt down and prayed. Father, if you are willing, please don't make me drink from this cup, but do what you want, not what I want. Then an angel from heaven came to help him. Joshua was full of pain. He struggled hard in prayer. Sweat dripped from his face like drops of blood falling to the ground. When he finished praying, he went to his followers. He found them asleep, worn out from their grieving. Joshua said to them, Why are you sleeping? Get up and pray for the strength against temptation. While Joshua was speaking, a crowd came up. It was led by Judas, one of the 12 apostles. He came over to Joshua to kiss him. But Joshua said to him, Judas, are you using the kiss of friendship to hand over the Son of Man to his enemies? The followers of Joshua were standing there too. They saw what was happening and said to Joshua, Lord, should we use our swords? And one of them did use his sword. He cut off the right ear of the servant of the high priest. Joshua said, Stop. Then he touched the servant's ear and healed him. Joshua spoke to the group that came to arrest him. They were the leading priests, the older Jewish leaders, and the Jewish soldiers. He said to them, Why did you come out here with swords and clubs? Do you think I am a criminal? I was with you every day in the temple area. Why didn't you try to arrest me there? But this is your time, the time when darkness rules. They arrested Joshua and took him away to the house of the high priest. Peter followed Joshua, but stayed back at a distance. The soldiers started a fire in the middle of the yard and sat together. Peter sat with them. A servant girl saw him sitting there. She could see because of the light from the fire. She looked closely at Peter's face. Then she said, This man was also with Joshua. But Peter said this was not true. He said, Lady, I don't know him. A short time later, someone else saw Peter and said, You are also one of them. But Peter said, Man, I am not. About an hour later, another man said, It's true, I'm sure this man was with him, because he is from Galilee. But Peter said, I don't know what you're talking about. Immediately, while he was still speaking, a rooster crowed. Then Joshua turned and looked into Peter's eyes. And oh, you kidding me? Did it reset?
What?
Fail.
Get off the leg.
Somewhere around here. Immediately, while he was still speaking, a rooster crowed. Then the Lord turned and looked into Peter's eyes, and Peter remembered what the Lord had said. "Before the rooster crows in the morning, you will say 3 times that you don't know me." Then Peter went outside and cried bitterly. The men guarding Joshua made fun of him and beat him. They covered his eyes so that he could not see them. They then hit him and said, "Be a prophet and tell us who hit you." And they shouted all kinds of insults at him. The next morning the older leaders of the people, the leading priests, and the teachers of the law came together. They led Joshua away to their high council. They said, "If you are the Messiah, then tell us that you are." Joshua said to them, "If I tell you that I am the Messiah, you will not believe me. And if I ask you, you will not answer. But beginning now, the Son of Man will sit at the right side of Yah all-powerful." They all said, "Then are you the Son of God?" Jesus said to them, "You are right in saying that I am." They said, "Why do we need witnesses now? We all heard what he said." That was just Luke 22. Did you want me to go to all of...
22, verse 1 through 23.
My leg. Let me get down.
Alright, John 13, 1 through 17. It was almost time for the Jewish Passover festival. Joshua knew that time had come for him to leave this world and go back to the Father. Joshua had always loved the people in the world who were his. Now was the time he showed them his love the most. Joshua and his followers were at the evening meal. The devil had already persuaded Judas Iscariot to hand Joshua over to his enemies. Judas was the son of Simon. The Father had given Joshua power over everything. Joshua knew this. He also knew that he had come from God, and he knew that he was going back to God. So while they were eating, Joshua stood up and took off his robe. He got a towel and wrapped it around his waist. Then he poured water into a bowl and began to wash the followers' feet. He dried their feet with the towel that was wrapped around his waist. He came to Simon Peter, but Peter said to him, "Lord, you should not wash my feet." Joshua answered, "You don't know what I am doing now, but later you will understand." Peter said, "No, you will never wash my feet." Joshua answered, "If I don't wash your feet, you are not one of my people." Simon Peter said, "Lord, after you wash my feet, wash my hands and my head too." Joshua said, "After a person has a bath, his whole body is clean. He needs only to wash his feet. And you are clean, but not all of you." Joshua knew who would hand him over to his enemies. That is why he said, "Not all of you are clean." When Joshua finished washing their feet, he put on his clothes and went back to the table. He asked, "Do you understand what I did for you? You call me teacher, and you call me Lord, and this is right because that is what I am. I am the Lord and the teacher, but I washed your feet, so you also should wash each other's feet. I did this as an example for you, so you should serve each other just as I served you. Believe me, servants are not greater than their master. Those who are sent to do something are not greater than the one who sent them. If you know these things, great blessings will be yours if you do them.